The guru is live.
Welcome to Mtn Top Chats with your guru. I am so excited today. We have a special guest. She'll be coming on here in a little bit. We'll talk all about her at that point. Just to remind everyone about Mtn Top Chats, this is a current news show. We talk about the news, the events of real estate, what's going on in real estate. There is just so much. I've got a stack of stuff today. I don't think I can ever get to it all because the stack is so high. Next week, by the way, I'll be doing another update on what do you call those foreclosures, Karen?
Short sale?
Yeah. Not sure.
Zombie.
The zombies. Not this week, but the next week we'll be doing another zombie foreclosure update. I love the zombie thing. It's just I'm not the one that coined the phrase, but it's out there. So let's talk some numbers today, though, because there's some important numbers. It just came out, and I'm a numbers person, so I love that kind of thing. So let's talk about the middle of America. The middle income America, the homes that middle America currently owns, and is the homes that they've owned over the last 120 months. What has happened with those in the little 120 months? Anything? Well, maybe just a little bit. They have gained equity value of $2.1 trillion. It's just this, how do you think about $2.1 trillion? It's hard to even begin to quantify what that means. So I put together a little schema to help quantify what $2.1 trillion actually means. So think about this. If you have a $1,000 bill, like as if we're all walking around with $1,000 bills in our pocket. Well, let's just say you have a $1,000 bill and you had 1,000 of those $1,000 bills. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Because you would have $1 million. So if you had $1,000 bills, you would have $1 million. Now, let's say you take that $1 million and you cash it in for a $1 million bill. So now you have a $1 million bill. And if you had 1,000 of those, you would have $1 billion. I'm working my way there. Now, if you cash that in, that 1,000, the $1,000 million bills for $1 billion, now you have a $1 billion bill, and you had 1,000 of those, you would have 1 trillion. So how much is 2.1 trillion? It's 2,100 million billion. That's a crazy number to think about. I get excited about numbers like that just because the large numbers are crazy to think about. So I broke it down for one more go around on the numbers. I'll leave you guys alone on the numbers. But one more go around, I broke it down by state. Now, this is just evenly distributed across the states. How much equity wealth was that per state in 120 months? That's 17,500 million per month. That is just. Of course, you can break it down more than that. But wow, that is just crazy numbers to think about. So when people say to you, can you make money owning a home? Wow, Karen, can you make money owning a home? Well, someone made a bunch of people $2.1 trillion. I've never actually lost money on a home. I bought my first home. I've told the story before, so I'm not going to drag people through it. At 19 years old, found a private contract and was able to fix it up and flip it. Now, back then, it was only $27,500 for the home. I was able to flip it and make a little money. But and that was right here in the Portland market. Why didn't I hold that home till today? But that's not how it worked. It didn't work that way for me anyway. So there's money to be made in real estate. You don't have to be a real estate professional to make money. But mostly we talk on this show about the career of real estate and the professionals in real estate. And of course, we interview a bunch of them to find out, what is going on. So what's happening right now? Let's get out of the numbers just a little bit here, even though I would love to spend the whole show just in numbers. So we are having it is March. And spring is here. Essentially, spring is here. Spring doesn't start until like the 21st of March. I know that. We already had our clocks roll forward. The typical spring for real estate, we know, starts March 1st. That's normal for real estate. March 1st is the big opening door for spring for real estate. We don't wait for the 21st or 22nd. But so when we talk about the next piece, this is normal. We've been having huge inventory shortages. We are on an inventory shortage that is record-breaking again this year. And wait till later in the show when we have the war update and how the war is impacting real estate. You can't wait. I was shocked to learn it myself, but yes, right here locally, we have war impacts on real estate. So right now, though, we have seasonal trends going on. That's not so surprising. Seasonal trends.
No.
Seasonal trends. That's because it's spring. The question I always ask myself: is there more real estate on the market right now? Yes, because it's seasonal trending real estate. It's spring. There's a bunch more homes hitting the market right now than there were before. But when we average that backwards, well, it's a lot less than what we need. We are still at an unbelievable inventory low. We are just short like crazy in real estate. Now, the shortage in real estate is causing a lot of anguish in the market. It's pushing people out of the market where people can't really afford it anymore. So King County, which is Seattle. So and there's other counties for Seattle as well, but King County, one of the major counties for Seattle, they are up over 20%. In fact, I pulled the number just last night. It's actually 23% on average, day over day from a year ago, that their prices are up again this year. 23%. It's mind-blowing. How can something be up that much? Again, this is not a single year. This is multiple years going on. And the Portland market, on average, is just under double digit. Now, the whole Seattle area is not pushing this heavy. King County is being pushed this heavy. And when you average their whole area, they're right around, the 9-10% mark. And as well as Portland is right around that upper 9s mark, with pockets, though, of in the 20s and high teens. Lots of popular pockets are up there in the 20s, high teens, and how people can keep up with this, I don't know. It really is a market to be wowed by. But let me tell you, my prediction, the market's not slowing down anytime soon. I predict if you're looking to buy, you need to jump into the market because there is so much more money to make in this market. On a world scale, we are a great buy at this point in time. I want to get over, though, that we're going to talk about art today. And I am so excited to talk with Kristina Sellers, professional artist, painter. She's going to tell us all about her paintings. We're going to talk about the aesthetics of art in a home and what it does for home values. And we're going to dig into this with Kristina Sellers right after this.
So, Rod, how can a cup of coffee improve my career in real estate?
Well, one cup of coffee is how we start our mornings, and it's not a stranger in real estate. We have coffee with our clients all the time. Even bigger than that, we can sit down with one cup of coffee, talk about your goals, make your business bigger, and push you to heights that you can't even believe.
That's right. And I'll tell you, working for Rod and I, you can be pushed because he's a workhorse.
I love real estate, and I want to share my passion with building your career in real estate as soon as we can pour the next cup of coffee.
So how about a cup of coffee with us?
I look forward to having a cup of coffee with you and having a discussion of a career change as soon as possible.
Thank you.
The guru is back.
Kristina, welcome to the show. I am so honored that you're taking time to share your knowledge of art with us. And this is wonderful, Kristina.
Hi, Rod. It doesn't matter what format it is. It's always fun to talk to you.
Oh, that's so kind. So let's just jump right in here real quick. Now, I mostly want to talk about you and being a professional artist because I'm so excited about that. But you've done a bunch of other things in life. What brought you to this point of professional art? Did you do some other things in life?
Well, yes. I actually was a real estate agent for a big chunk of my life. I've done medical billing, photography. So quite a bit of stuff, but it was always really art was where I wanted to be. So
how early in your life did you know that art was going to be the thing?
Oh, maybe 6 or 7 years old when I tried to copy all the Disney stuff from
wow,
from my cartoon books and stuff like that. So yeah,
when I was like 11 years old, I did some sketches, and they were the one-arm pencil guy type sketches. You make the little cross and you make the legs, and I thought, well, this is going to be art, and then I was told you might want to be be else.
Oh, well, I think that's sad because there's nothing wrong with starting that way. So
what did your first art look like?
What's that?
What did your first art look like?
Well, it's kind of funny because I had certain things that I thought were beautiful even back in that age range. And so I drew a lot of horses and I drew a lot of Disney princesses, and wow. I don't think my mom's got those things saved, but I would love to go back and look and see what those look like. I don't know.
Doing Disney princesses when you're like 8 years old?
Yeah.
That wow, I can't even imagine that kind of talent. Well, Kristina, we have a couple shots of some, and it's not going to do great value to what they actually are. But Karen, if we could bring up a couple shots.
Nice and springy. That is in the McMinnville area here in Oregon. And that is a plein air painting I did of the Columbia River Gorge. Plein air painting is when you are on location and you paint right there. And of course, I had to paint this one really quickly because the sun was setting and I just wanted to capture the essence of it.
Home paintings that hang on walls in homes, as well as the aesthetic color choices in homes. Do color choices actually affect what somebody might feel or think about a home when they're walking through and thinking about buying it?
Absolutely. I'm not an interior designer, but I do know a lot about the principles of color. And I think that, art and interior designing function on the same fundamentals, and color psychology is a real thing, It's funny. I was chatting with a title company person some years ago, and I kind of had to hold my tongue because they were talking about how they wanted to bring in some art and do some decorating there in the conference room and that sort of thing. And this gal wanted to put a lot of red in there. She was thinking that would be cheerful. But, red actually is a sign of danger and it will actually raise your blood pressure. And so I've done some custom art for hospitals, and the company that I go through with that, they always say no red. We want blues and greens. We want
and this is part of the color psychology.
Yeah, exactly.
So Christine, I've never told you this before. I don't think I've ever told my wife Karen this before. Way back when, and she knows I used to be a ranked open player in racquetball when I was like between 18 and 22 years old, ranked, and I was picked for the first round that racquetball would ever be part of the Olympics. I had great eyesight back then, and got to compete that way. It was wonderful. My doubles player painted one side of his racket red and the other side yellow, and said that he could change his mood mid-game by focusing on what he painted the racket.
That's interesting. That it would be interesting to see someone do a study on that.
But this is part of color psychology, right? I mean, I didn't think it could impact someone so heavily, but from what you're saying, like in a house, so when you walk into a house, color choice can impact how people would feel about the house long term.
Sure. I think consulting with your realtor about who's your target audience for your house, and kind of trying to, with a lot of intent, maybe room by room, think about.
This raises 1,000 questions, Kristina.
Okay.
So you said one of my key terms, target audience. So are there different? Wow, I can't believe I never thought of this before, Karen. Are there different colors for target audiences? For example, if I'm aiming a house at retired people versus a house towards a young couple first home, would that be a different color choice?
Well, I think it's broader than that. But I think thinking about who, what demographic is likely to be looking at your house and what things might they value, like something that looks really, really clean and streamlined might be one set of people, or a feeling of spaciousness, might be a different idea.
Do lighter colors open a room up, or is it a mixture of light and dark?
Well, I think you should have a mix of light and dark, but just deciding how is this room used, what's the focal point of this room, and base your color choices on that. Like, if you can use art for this purpose too, not just, painting walls. Like I had noticed I had a large painting that I didn't really have a good place to store. So we just had it on our wall, and it was a landscape painting that it actually had warm colors, but it receded back to cool colors because in the distance, things always turn cooler and lighter in daylight. And so once that painting went into the show I was waiting for, it felt like we had lost a window in the house. And so it felt like we lost all this spacious feeling. And so you really can, with the right piece of art, you can make something feel more spacious.
It was a few years ago, Kristina, Karen and I were representing a buyer out in the Sandy, Oregon area. and she was in love with this large piece of artwork that was in the entrance of the home. And Karen, didn't it have a lot of artificial flowers and things that came out of, or dried flowers that came out of it? Kind of a big circle. It was difficult for me because I don't have much eyesight.
Three-dimensional piece of art.
And she put it into the offer, and we tried to coach her not to not put that as a piece, but she said to her, the art made the house, the entrance of the house, come alive, and she didn't want the house without it. Is that kind of a feeling surprising to you?
No, it's not. That can really make or break a house. And I've had the privilege of seeing a lot of homes of people who collect art, over time. And it just has a rich feeling of personality. And there's just something about original art, the infusion of the artist onto the piece of art doesn't really come through necessarily with commercial art that you would find at Target.
Oh, that is so true. And you opened me up to this sometime back when I got to go to the museum in the Gorge called
Mary Hill Museum.
Mary Hill's Museum.
Yeah.
And you had a display of your art there. And of course, we got to look at a lot of other art that was there. And it is so amazing to look at unique pieces that aren't commercially done.
Right. Yeah, it's really can blow you away.
So now, going back over to your paintings and how you feel about art, Kristina. So do you use oil, watercolor, palette knives? What are your preferences and why?
Well, I've done a little bit of all of those. My default is oil paint. I just love the feel of it, and I love the textures I can get, and I love being able to go back into it and keep working into it. Since it does take a while to dry. And I also like that if I don't like something, I scrape it right off. Yeah. And I have actually done palette knife paintings in the past with oil paints.
So on the paint for a palette knife paint, I mean, it's like a putty, right?
No, it's just oil paint. It's just a lot of it. And you can definitely add things to give it a different texture. A stiffer texture if you want.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And lately I have done a little bit of gouache painting, which is kind of a hybrid between watercolor and acrylic. And
you call it wash, like W-A-S-H?
It's gouache. It's actually been around for a really long time, but it's kind of gotten really popular lately. But it's Gouache, I think, one of those French words. But it's easy to use, but it's kind of the opposite of oil painting, whereas it's very quick drying. So,
and you're getting into the gouache
a little bit, yeah, dabbling with it a little bit and enjoying it. So
now, what kind of settings do you? I mean, I know every artist is so unique. Do you prefer mountain settings or animal settings or a fruit bowl? I'm being simplistic. I don't know.
Well, it really depends on what I'm in the mood for. And I kind of don't want to be pigeonholed into just one subject if I'm able to. But out of all those things, what I really love is landscape painting the most, I'd say. Okay. And doing plein air painting where you're painting there on location. It's a lot of hassle in a lot of ways because of having to have your equipment, you have some specialized equipment to be able to do that.
It's so fun to watch somebody doing it. It's almost intoxicating to watch somebody pull a painting together.
Yeah.
If you don't make them too nervous by standing there, and I'm sure there's got to be some nerves to it. The crowd watching and you're pulling this painting together.
You get used to it. You definitely get used to it. And the funny thing is, usually I could be painting with some friends and we all have different ways of approaching a painting. So sometimes I'll have a friend that their painting looks, almost like a finished painting right out of the gate.
Really?
Mine aren't really that way. Mine pull together kind of at the last minute. So it's so funny to see people are oohing and ahhing over my friends' paintings, and then they're afraid to say anything about mine because mine just looks like blobs or something. So
I want to get back over in just a second to the outside schema of homes. But first, I've got to ask. So we've been talking about, you painting on canvases and things like that. Have you done any work with, like decorative rocks or decorative items?
I mean, there was a time when I kind of did some crafty things like that, but it's been a long time.
So is that considered a different kind? I mean, is there a name for that kind of art?
Well, I mean, art, it's kind of subjective when something crosses into between craft and art. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that would be.
It's fascinating though when you look at some of those pieces where someone's taken a rock and they've made something out of it. And
oh yeah,
I
wish I was talented at things like sculpture or ceramics or something, because I'm not at all. But I appreciate people that do that.
Well, I'll tell you, Karen and I have one of our favorite paintings. I was able to buy it for Karen. I believe it's probably her favorite painting that she currently owns. I bought it at Disney by an authentic Disney artist, commissioned by Disney, a painting of Mickey. And sometime I'll have you over to the home and you'll see it. We have it in our main room. It's a picture of Mickey painting a self-portrait of himself on a fence. And
how fun.
Karen?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It sits there in my living room, and it's the first thing I packed when we evacuated from the fire.
It kind of, it speaks to us that, the character is supposed to be this kind of spitfire that Mickey always is.
Yeah.
And here he's putting graffiti on a fence, but in a very beautiful way.
Well, before we let Kristina go.
Oh, I got to get back to aesthetics on the outside of the home, too.
Okay, because I have a question.
Okay.
But go ahead and do aesthetics.
Oh, okay.
You want to do aesthetics first?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, all right. So, Kristina, can you tell us what it was like to go to Paris to paint there? I mean, was that
I haven't been to Paris. I've been to Italy.
I mean, excuse me, to Italy.
Yes.
To go to Italy, was that the purpose of the trip, or did it just happen to turn into an art adventure? Tell us about it.
Well, my husband Tim and I have been to Italy twice, and the first trip was really just our anniversary, and we wanted to see, or I wanted to see, and I dragged him along, all the museums, and of course we didn't see all the museums. There's so many. So it ended up being a really awesome trip, but it was a whirlwind, and it was very exhausting going through all the museums. And so we decided we had to go back. We absolutely fell in love with Italy. We decided on the second trip, we wanted to make it a more slow paced trip, and that I would bring my painting supplies. And so I did that and kind of planned to paint every other day so that it wasn't just about painting.
Yeah.
And so I could have a little breather and it would still feel like a vacation because painting is hard work, by the way.
It is hard work.
And that was just absolutely so much fun. And it's amazing the people that you meet that want to know about what you're doing. And my husband, who's very gregarious and outgoing, kind of fielded questions for me.
Yeah.
People coming up to me. And one of the funnest things I did was a nighttime painting in Sorrento, Italy, of this beautiful yellow church that was lit up at night. And
were you able to bring some of those paintings back with you?
Yes, I have. And I've sold quite a few of them, and I have a lot of photography, of course, from those trips, and I've done quite a few paintings from the photography too.
So, wow, you opened up a whole can, Karen. I know our time is getting limited here, but I do want to get back over to aesthetics of the home. I started from the inside of the home. Just my first question about the outside of the home, Kristina, is should the outside of the home be a reflection of the inside paint-wise? Or can you have a completely different thing on the outside?
Wow, I never thought about that before. I think you could. I think maybe thinking about what the identity of the home is and trying to have a something that gels well together. I don't think you'd want to have.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I don't think you'd want to have something that's just a night and day difference. Like people are surprised. Oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Well, earth tones are so popular now.
Yeah.
And of course, I personally never thought that anybody should paint their home with the Pepto-Bismol pink.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot to say about that, actually. It depends on your locale. We're in Oregon here. We have all these gray days. And so the earthier tones look really, really good here. But if you're in Belize, that Pepto-Bismol pink looks perfect because you have different light. Yeah. So.
That's interesting. That is so interesting.
Yeah. So, Joanna Gaines is so popular. Her Magnolia, everything. I love all of it. And the reason we have so many cool grays is because of her influence, I believe. However, she lives in Texas. Texas is hot and dry and warm. And those cool grays are a refuge for people in Texas in their homes. But we live here in Oregon where we have all these really, really gray, cold days, and we want to warm up our homes. So if you're going to use grays and earthy tones, go for the warmer ones here in Oregon.
Interesting. So the color outside can actually make a person feel that the home is warmer on the inside from a feeling standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in Texas and it's hot and dry and people are going to come through your home and then you have your home, in oranges and yellows, it's going to feel a bit much.
Right. That totally makes sense. So what about the decorations around the home? So, all the plant life, should that be, and I know plant life, even saying it sounds general, but is there a schema that should be thought about with bark dust, plant life, roses? Should those colors also be taken into consideration with the paint schema of the outside of the home?
Well, I would say yes. I'm certainly not a landscaper or landscape artist, but I think in general, I would say yes. And probably get some help from your local landscape designer, maybe. Yeah.
And you see people do crazy things. Well, I shouldn't say crazy. I take the word crazy back. They do things like paint their door red. And their house is yellow, or the front door itself becomes a mark of art.
Yeah, on our house that we just sold, I did kind of. Some people might think it sounds a little bit crazy, but we did a color called Urbane Bronze on the body of the house, which is really, really a pretty dark color, but it's this really kind of I think magical color between brown and gray. It just feels kind of like it has a velvety color almost to it. And then I did a really cheerful, but not too bright yellow door. And it looked, and I knew my house was going on the market in the fall, and I just knew this is going to feel so warm and inviting.
You did use the door itself as a piece of art.
Yeah, I did. It was very much
Wow.
a plan, and I knew I was going to have a lot of sunflowers in my yard, and it just kind of felt like the sunflower house.
Well, Kristina, there is so much more I would like to spend time on another interview with you talking, because we've barely scratched the surface. I want to take time and thank you for being part of the
It's so
chat show today. And if people want to contact you,
Mhm.
do you do specific work for commissioned work?
Absolutely. I'd love to help people out with getting that personal piece of art that they're not able to find in stores.
You are local right here on the east side of Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And Karen, do we have Kristina's contact down here in the banner?
I have a slide right
Oh.
next to your picture.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, there I am.
I can't see that obviously with my eyesight. But Kristina, thank you so much for being part of the show.
My pleasure.
Seeing your art and experiencing your art. And I do want to say, Kristina is the one that put the guru stuff together. And I have had now to this point hundreds of people comment about it. It's been remarkable. And
well, you were so kind to let me take that project on.
well, it's been amazing for us. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and we'll be talking shortly.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye, Rod.
Okay. Wow. It's so fun talking to an artist and getting their ideas. I want to move on here real quick to the mask update in Oregon. March 12th, masks came off. It's been 2 years. The masks came off in Oregon. It's remarkable. All of a sudden, Oregon has caught up with, well, let's just face it, a lot of states. The majority of the United States that already had their masks off. And I'm not making fun of the disease at all. It's a serious matter. But I will tell you, I am so thankful to have the mask off out in public. And I know some people still have to wear it. And I may even choose to wear it myself occasionally as I'm one of the at-risk people. I don't have a pituitary gland, for goodness sakes. And if you don't know what that is, well, go Google it and you'll find out all the parade of bad it is to not have a pituitary gland. And that happened in the early 90s from a tumor. So masks came off for most of us. One moment. There are several categories. I don't have a list today, but I will get a list there's several categories though that are not taking their mask off yet. For example, in hospitals, most hospitals are not doing that yet. There's many careers of nursing and other clinics that aren't taking their masks off yet. And then there's some mandated by the governor's office that still are not taking that mask off yet. So, but in general, March 12th, would love to hear from you in the comments. How do you feel about the mask coming off? Is that an important aspect to you? How does it impact your career? We still don't have all the definitions of how it impacts real estate. Most are interpreting that it's simply off, even though I would continue wiping things down, but we don't have a full interpretation of that yet. So I would like to hear though from people as to what's going on that way. How do you feel really about it? Now, I mentioned last week in our chat show, I was going to get back to video, and I promised to get back to it, and I am getting back to it right now. And so video has taken over. So I'd like to hear from you in the chat. And Karen, let me know if someone chimes in live with us. And if you comment later on the replays of this, we will monitor that and get back to you. What do you think about video in real estate? Because it has exploded. Video has become the vehicle of communication. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm a big phone advocate. Karen's laughing at me down behind the scenes, if you can just hear her, because she knows I'm on the phone all day long. I'm one of those 4 or 5 hour a day people on the phone. I like to talk to people. It's my job. That's what I do. I talk for a living. So But video now has kind of pushed the phone. It's slowly pushing the phone out because now you've got the phone built into the video because you can do the Zoom and all the Zoom, all the Zoom lookalikes, whether it's Amazon Chime, which I personally think is better than Zoom, but whatever you're using out there, there's a lot of different products out there to take a look at. What are you using? Is it Google Hangouts? Google Hangouts is a wonderful product, absolutely terrific. There are just so many of them, though. They're popping up all over the place. So video for communication to our clients, absolutely on fire. Video tours. Well, what are we going to do with video tours? Because video tours have exploded and there's so many different types of video tours. We're going to talk deeper about video tours and what's going on inside the home as soon as we get back from this break.
So, Rod, what does it mean? 7 minutes to a new career.
Well, in 7 minutes, we can have a cup of coffee, we can talk career goals, and how we're going to help you make the biggest career move in your life.
That's right. There's a lot of things that Mountain Hood Realty has to offer, and Rod is a ball of energy.
I love the career, and I want to share with you my passion for building your business bigger than you ever thought it could be.
Come spend 7 minutes with us. We look forward to it.
Talk to you soon.
The guru is back.
Okay, we're talking video, and video is on fire. I would say if you're not using video yet, you really need to jump in. And you can jump in just using your phone. That's how I started. But then I went over to a product called BombBomb. And you can find them on BombBomb Video. I think it's bombbomb.com. I'm with another product now, but BombBomb is terrific. Absolutely a ball of fire. And they make video so easy, right from your phone to send it out to your people. One step, just right there, and they send it out. And it's amazing how easy it can be. But what are you doing with video tours? You're selling a house. We're in a seller's market right now. And in a seller's market, do you need video tours? I mean, we're coming out of the pandemic, one would think, even though there's lots of questions about this coming out of the pandemic thing. But video tours during this pandemic have worked their way into our lives. Give me a comment about what do you think the future of video tours actually is? Because I'll tell you, I think it's worked its way into our life and it's not leaving. I think this now is a permanent fixture in our lives, and that the first brush people are expecting to have happen is some form of video tour. But there's lots of different forms excuse me, of video tours. For example, you can take 20 to 50 photos, stitch them together, and it'll zoom in and zoom out and make it look like there's movement, even though they're still images. A lot of people think these are actually videos, but they're stitched together, and the way the camera comes in and out makes it appear to have movement. And they're stitched, and it moves from picture to picture, and suddenly you have this video. And of course, you have the actual video, and you may have a narration to the video, or you may have music instead of a narration, and just letting someone experience the home. Well, then you have the next level up from that. And that's these videos that allow you to go and click through the home. So you're at the front door, and you're allowed to click where you want to go, and it opens the door for you, and you can go left or right, up the stairs, or anywhere you want to go, spin around in the room, look up, see the ceiling, look down. And these videos can be so good You can zoom in and look at the granules of the carpet, or look at the paint on the ceiling, look at the corners. You can really look at everything in there. I'd like to know from you in the comments, are these working for you? They're quite expensive. Karen, do you remember the name of this type of video?
It's often called the Matterport.
A Matterport. Thank you. Yes, the Matterports. And there may be some other names out there for them as well. I am wowed by them. They do often cost, though, $300 each. It can be more than that. I've heard of people paying $500 for some really high-end special effects of them. But once you put it out there, people are able to tour the home a lot and really look the home over. And people can get a great idea of what that home looks like. All right. But what about when there's no tour set up? What about when the person just says, can you as the agent walk through the home on live FaceTime and just narrate me through the home? You hold the phone up here and you're just walking through with the video. Now, we've done this. We've, of course, always gotten permission from the homeowner, particularly if it's not a vacant house. You want to get permission from the homeowner. And we've walked through and been able to give someone a video tour just doing that. Have you done that? Have you had clients asking about it? What do you feel like about if you are the seller and the only thing the buyer has done is look at a video? And I don't care any of these videos, the Matterport or any of them. If all they've done is look at a video of the home, does it impact the seller making a choice of which are? So let's say you have 10 offers, and let's just, for our conversation, let's say that the highest offer happens to be the one that is a video tour, and all the other ones were live. How does that impact the presentation of this to the owner of the home for making a choice? I've heard, now I have not had this problem with anybody, but I've heard that it upsets people. That there are some people that this whole process is highly upsetting to them. That the person did not actually physically come and walk through the home. This is surprising to me, but I come from the mindset of an offer is an offer and it doesn't matter to me. However, I think there are some arguments to be made that how serious is the person if they didn't actually walk through? How much do they actually know the feel of the home if they didn't walk through physically the home itself instead of a video? Because there's a different feel. I think we would all agree there is a different feel to watching a video of a home versus actually being in the home, smelling the air in the home, feeling the ambiance of the home, and just the whole understanding of it by being there. I think there is a difference. But should that difference be enough to make a change on what offer the homeowner is accepting? That's the tough part. So let's move over to our jump off portion of video last week. And that is video stalking. There's two types of video stalking to be concerned with here. So now we're talking video in the home. And there's video stalking by the seller. And there's video stalking, and maybe it should be called casing the joint, by the buyer. Because you don't know what's going on. So let's do the buyer first, and then we'll get over to the seller. So you're in a home, you're showing the people, your clients the home, 123 Main Street, and you turn around, and lo and behold, one of them has their camera out and they are videoing the house. And it's an occupied home. The people aren't there, but they're busy videoing the house. Do you see a problem with it? Now, of course, I would immediately see a legal problem that we don't have permission to do this, but there's even a deeper problem. That is, how much do you know of this buyer? Because I've heard of some cases. I have not seen the case, but I've heard of some cases that the buyer might just be there casing the house for a future robbery. Have you heard of this? Do you think this is a problem? Do you think, would you allow it to happen? I have a little sip of my coffee here. I personally think it's a problem. I'd like to hear from you as to what you think on video being done by buyers in a home personally. You're not just walking through on FaceTime doing a live. That's one level. They're actually filming this. They can take it home and then review it in granularity. They can zoom in on things. They can zoom in on the jewelry box. They can zoom in on all kinds of things in the home because now they have a permanent video of the assets on the inside of that home. Now let's move the conversation over to video stalking by the seller, which is I think a bigger problem, but nevertheless, a problem nonetheless. So video stalking by the seller is when they have a video surveillance in the home, and when a buyer comes in, they are watching the video of them either live or recorded. And we know that this, unless there is proper postings to this and permissions and consents, this is not allowed. You can't listen in on somebody, even if you can watch them with the surveillance. Depends on the state you're in and what's happening. You've got to look closely at the rules going on video surveillance and what's happening, because the states are all over the place on this. It really depends on the state and what's happening and your local municipality. Nevertheless, if you have a buyer in the home and they believe nobody's there, and they turn to their agent and they say, how much you say this house is? Oh, it's $399,900. We're approved for $475,000. We can afford that, but what do you think about us offering $375,000 for this? So they start the negotiation in the house, which of course is the agent. I always tell people, I'd like to hear from you in the comments, what do you do at that point in time? I mean, the deal has been spilled on the floor. The cork is out of the bottle. They have said it, and if it's being recorded, and a lot of times you wouldn't even know because these cameras are being hidden. You wouldn't even know that's happening. So, but when the cork's out of it, what do you say? I'd like to have this. What we do is we tell them, I'd like to continue this conversation later when we're out of the home. At this point in time, there may be surveillance going on, so we want to keep all of our negotiations private. I would like to know, what do you do? Have you run against this problem? Because the problem is growing. Video is growing so large. And I think that we personally, now as your guru, I believe that we are at a baby step when it comes to video. It's exploding. What is it going to look like 20 years from now? That's what you have to think about, is if we have this much video today, what will it look like in 20 years? Well, I think that we're looking at, thousands of times more video surveillance items that are going to be out there. And we are in the land of the Internet of Things. Everything becomes part of the internet. You open the refrigerator and you take the milk out, and if it's out too long, some refrigerators will say you're out of milk because the milk container's been out of the refrigerator too long, and it feels like, okay, then we're out of milk, and it'll automatically make a grocery list for you. That's the Internet of Things. Well, these kind of surveillances are absolutely out there. And it's something that we're going to have to be paying close attention to. So, video by buyers, obviously a problem. Video by seller, a different kind of problem. Can this stuff be used for negotiation? I firmly believe that it should not be used for any kind of negotiation. But how, once the cork's out of the bottle, how do you stop it? And of course, the seller will run up to you unless you've had the conversation in advance. The seller will always run up to you and say, I have an exciting thing to tell you. The people that were just in the home had their children pick out the bedrooms. They want it really bad, and they can afford $475. I'm only asking $399.9. They said they're going to bid me down for $375, but they want the house no matter. When the offer comes in, let's bid them up. Isn't that exactly the kind of information that we shouldn't be using? But I would like to hear from you. What do you think about that kind of information? All right. More video updates next week. We'll talk more, get more into it. I'll take a look at your comments, see what's going on there. I wanted to start in a new update for the show because we have this thing called the war going on in Ukraine right now. And our hopes and prayers are with the people of the Ukraine and hoping things are going well for them. But now moving over to real estate, there is a real estate war update that we need to be talking about. And we're starting that briefly today. What is going on with the war and the impact that it's having on real estate? So there is a quote here, Karen, by one of the people in Redfin, one of the leaders in Redfin. Can you read that quote for us?
War in Ukraine is partially to blame for, in quotes, the extreme shortage, end quote, of U.S. homes for sale.
This is what caught my attention. And I thought, how is that possible that the war in Ukraine is partially to blame for our shortage of homes? Well, after I started looking into this, it really started to make sense. It is the supply chain. It's not that more people are coming here to buy homes or that people are thinking more about buying homes because of the war. It's because the supply chain to build homes has been disrupted. It's the supply chain problem. This supply chain now has been disrupted so much. They don't think that we're going to have the materials to continue building homes at our current rate that we have or that we have a need for because the supply chain is so disrupted of where we're getting things from. Well, that's going to be a big problem because now we already have a huge shortage. I mean, the shortage is what is stopping us from having a much larger economy in real estate than what we could be experiencing anyway. But this is where we're at. Tied together with that, we have the Fed's plan to continue raising interest rates. They have already raised it several times. And their plan right now, because of inflation, is to continue raising interest rates over the course of this year. I will tell you my prediction of this, my prediction of the whole inflation thing, which is for real. We have runaway inflation that is substantially large, and we will get into that kind of prediction next week when I can pull some more data together. But I already have a bunch of it, and let me tell you, you won't want to miss the predictions on inflation, our runaway inflation, and what is happening with the bond market and the war and the whole package as it impacts real estate. All right, Thank you so much for tuning in to Mountain Top Chats with your guru. It's been fun today. Don't forget to go down to our Kickstarter course, Build Your Business Bigger Than You Ever Thought It Could Have Been Built Before. Also, we have one-on-one coaching, and I look forward to helping you build your business. Talk to you next week.